Well, as you can tell, JT is still in my garage. Firewall is not up yet. I'm still working on a few issues. In order to clean up the firewall, I decided to remove the starter contactor that was here. Obviously, it would be the firewall and the starter contactor right here. And move it through the nose of the plane. I'll show you that in just a second. Doing this way, I will be able to access the back of the front side of the engine, and it'll clean up also a few other things that were here. Earlier on, you couldn't even see through. There was so much stuff in the way. But I've had to add another wire for the alternator. So this will be the starter, and this will be the alternator. You got two wires going up front to the starter relay. And from here, obviously, one wire will go to the starter and one wire will go to the alternator. Let me take you up front, show you where the two wires connect to. There's a AWG2 wire for the starter, which is the original wire cable that was going from the battery contactor all the way to the starter relay here. I've reused that, shortened it a little bit and reused it, and then I laid another cable. This might be able, is 2 AWG4 actually, that goes to the alternator, as the alternator wire is also in AWG4. So let's go toward the nose and let me show you where this wire ends up. So as you can tell, it's still much of a work in progress here, but let's continue on with the starter solenoid relocation up in the nose. You can see this is the starter solenoid right here. I mounted it with click bonds to the side of the nose. Let's see if I can get you a really tight shot. It's really there. That click bond adhesive is amazing. It actually picked up the nose of the airplane without the engine, so you can imagine this is pretty heavy by pulling on the starter solenoid. So that's not going anywhere. I was considering putting some fiberglass over the top of those, but it doesn't seem like it needs it. But I'll reserve the right to change my mind there. So anyway, you can see the white cable is the one that was originally going from the battery contactor all the way to the starter contactor when it was back in on the tail, and that's being repurposed as a starter wire cable. The other red, the alternator cable, you can see that's the new cable, and it's coming down here and connecting up here, and from there goes to the bottom of the battery contactor. From the bottom of the battery contactor through the main switch, it goes to the battery. We got the starter light in the panel, and there's obviously there's a starter switch cable down here that also goes onto the panel. So we're gonna run it. Obviously I don't have a starter, but I will put a voltmeter on the back that will read 12 volts when there's 12 volts applied to the starter, if it was a starter. And we're gonna give it a shot and see if this thing works. So hang in there, we're gonna go set up the voltmeter. So I set up a voltmeter here, and we're gonna connect the positive to the starter connector. This is where the wire that will go to the starter goes, and the negative to the main ground lug. That's where the engine ground connects to. And we're gonna flip this around so that we can see it from the nose. Obviously, when we press the starter button, we want to be able to see 12 volts coming out of here and up here. Let's go back to the front and try it. Okay, so we are looking at the cockpit. As we flip the main switch on, this is the main battery contactor. No need for the essential to be on, but the main battery contactor will turn on, obviously connect electricity from the battery through the battery contactor to the starter relay. So we're gonna hear, when I turn it on, we're gonna hear a little click, which is the mechanical battery contactor doing its thing. Okay, here we go. If you heard that click, that is the main battery contactor closing. And then over on this side, see if I can zoom in a little bit, make it a little easier to see. This is the starter switch, and the starter switch is going to close the starter relay mechanically, and so it's going to make a click, like a clicking noise also, and you'll be able to see the starter on light. That should also come on. And then back there, as we were saying, the starter will be spinning, but obviously since we don't have a starter, we have set up the voltmeter. We want to look and find 12 volts at the voltmeter. So here we go. We should hear a clang and the starter light turn on, and it does. And swing around over there, and oops, see if I can zoom in for you. We see 12.3 volts, 12.2 volts. So the system is working. It's in its final configuration. Just have a few more click bonds to put on to make sure that these wires are totally secure. Probably put one on this side and one on that side. Tidy up a little bit of the electrical wires here, and then the transfer of the starter relay from the firewall to the nose is completed. Ciao.